All right, I think the stream is back. I think it's back. I had to nuke the stream quality because I think my service provider is throttling me right now. So we'll see how long this lasts. And my cat's just jumping up. I need to get my chat app working again. I don't know what just happened. Didn't like me though. The Chinese firewall got me. Here we go. I think the chat's working again. Let me just send a little test message. Somehow a message got through that isn't in the chat over here. That's really weird. All right, I think it's back. I'm not sure if Twitch is working. One second. Okay, Twitch is working. Cool. There goes my nice live stream. I was hitting the algorithm hard with the other stream, so unfortunately it's going to be split into two streams now, but that's fine. We'll see if this one can last for a while. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll have to call this one day 3.5. What am I using for networking? So I wrote my own little networking library, but I use like the Windows socket APIs to build it, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. Basically, I can show it. Sorry, I'm not answering your question very well. I was thinking about something else. Yeah, so basically on Windows, I use WinSocket. So this header, WinSock 2, and this one for some TCP stuff. And on top of this, I've built a little API that basically lets me create sockets and like host a server and do all the fun stuff. So yeah, that's how my networking code works. All right, well, let's see. Let's see how this plays out. I'm a bit sad that the internet just died on me. We lost. I was at 150 viewers and now I'm at 15. Oh well, that's fine. All because the stream died. My upload speed went down to 0 megabits per second for a little bit there. I don't know what happened. So I nuked the stream quality down to 1080p 30 FPS. So sad for anyone that's that's watching at the lower quality. But we're going to just continue with this for now. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully it doesn't die again. We'll see. It's annoying because I pay. So I've been being plagued with these internet problems for a while now. And where I live, there's only one service provider. So I have Spectrum. If you're like in the United States, you're probably familiar with Spectrum. And I pay for their highest tier that I can like get at where I live. But they go down all the time. And my internet speeds aren't even that good. But it should be well enough to handle the live stream bandwidth that I'm doing. Like I've done the math, you know, with the bitrate. But every so often it just dies on me, so I don't know what's happening. I mean, the stream looks fine, I guess. Still, it's just not as high quality. All right, so we need to do the same thing for the momentum. So we'll put this in a little scope. And this one will be called that. And we'll just lerp this as well. And we'll add that. Okay. We need to make this a little more poppy though. This is kind of funny looking. It's cool because these like layer on top of each other too. Like I can like fly fast and see the gun kind of move around. Too much roll. Yeah, maybe. All right. And what else do we need in this economy? We need some... Okay, when you look up and down, we need to do something too. And I guess we also need to change with gravity, but I don't have gravity simulated, so I can't really do that yet. I was gonna do stuff for forward and backward, but I'm gonna have like a animation that kicks in when you walk forward. So like it'll kind of interpolate between whether it's doing the sway thing or if it's kind of doing the gun wiggle animation. I don't know what I don't know what you call it. The gun bob. It's like a bobbing animation. It's cool because you can like strafe while you're shooting and your sights kind of go to the side. So you have to get like some of the sideways gunplay, which is kind of fun. The velocities are a little too quick maybe. I need to add corner peeking. Yeah, I need some gun jiggle physics. I'm just interpolating the values, so that's how I made it a little more smooth. I'm just using some linear interpolation. So rather than like directly setting the sway, I set a target, and then I interpolate towards that target, and that just smooths out, you know, the motion. And then the idea is I just have a bunch of these little you kind of think of them like dials, right? Like little dials. And then I'll layer these dials based on like the player state. So like if I'm running, maybe it will do less sway and more of the jiggle, the bounce, and vice versa. But I'm thinking what else do I want? I guess we want recoil. Recoil is like the next main one. So I guess what does recoil do? Recoil like pushes the gun back, it pitches it up, and then it adds like some sort of randomness to the I don't know. I'm trying to think, what does recoil actually do? There's like a few things that go in the recoil. Yeah, it should sway less during aiming. I have a function, or I have a thing for doing that. I have this aiming amount. So maybe I should put this up here. So it's like ADS amount, aim down sight, or like aiming factor, I guess I could call it, which is just like, or what am I doing? Oh, I already have an aiming amount. I should rename this. And put that back. Let me just undo a bunch of this. This should be aiming factor, because it's like how much are we aimed down sights. And then we can just change this to be like I don't know, some percentage. So like we'll have fully, if we're fully aimed in, and we'll have like a reduced if we're aimed out. So then that way it's like as you zoom in, it's a little more. I don't know. It's kind of things I just have to play around with. Maybe. Yeah, I agree. It does feel a lot better. All right, let's see. Hello, cat. My cat's back on the desk. Hi, kitty. Cat says hi. All right, goodbye, kitty. Okay, let's see. So I want recoil. I need to think for a second about what recoil actually is. Recoil is like a momentum on the roll and the pitch, and like the, I guess like the vertical, like the outward position of the gun, right? It's like those three things kind of represent recoil. And I need some like recoil curve or something, and that's like, that gets complicated. Like when I fire, I want the gun to like pop back, obviously. And I kind of want it to be like randomized as well. Okay, my cat really wants to be up here. Okay. Let's add some stuff. Let's add like a... I don't even know. Let the cat code. We have like a recoil. I guess obviously a pitch, recoil pitch 2. Maybe I won't do the pitch and pitch 2 with this though. I'm not sure yet. Oops. I don't use Visual Studio because I don't like the IDE very much. It's kind of heavy and it ties me to Windows, and it's just not necessary for my build system, so I just don't use it. All right. I'm just trying to think, like, because I want if I fire the gun rapidly, the recoil kind of needs to like adapt to the how would I represent this? It's like you kind of want the recoil to be springy, right? So like I need to kind of emulate a spring, maybe, is how this should work. It's like maybe I don't have a recoil pitch. Well, I have these final values, but maybe it's like a recoil pitch, like velocity or something, right? And then I spring these back towards 0. But then when I fire, I kind of like pop them at a high value and then let them dampen back down, maybe. Maybe that could work. It's mostly a weekend project. I do find some time throughout the week sometimes. It's slow goings though. All right, we'll deal with just yaw or pitch first because that's easiest to reason about, and then I'll just see where this gets me. So we need like recoil. So so we'll have like 3 values. We have recoil, pitch, offset, which will represent some arbitrary like just offset from. Well, I guess I could just use the pitch directly. Oh yeah, I'll do offset. I have 3 variables here. I have like a momentum or a velocity. I have the actual position, and I'll have to spring both of those back, if that makes sense. You'll see in a second where I'm getting at here. So like these are 3 values. And I'll calculate pitch from these 2 basically. So oops. So this adds from pitch velocity, right? And then this tries to snap back towards 0. I'll just have like a spring, kind of like a, I don't know, just a dampening factor maybe. I'll have to play with this to make it feel like punchy, but we'll see how this works. And maybe this should be like the distance away would like represent its magnitude. I don't know. But we also have to dampen the velocity. So maybe we'll just dampen these at just random values for now. And then from this, we'll calculate I don't know, the pitch, I guess. We'll just see what this does. We'll see what this looks like. Maybe I still want to pitch too, but for now I'm just going to do the pitch. I guess for now I'll just set it to the offset just to see what this looks like. But maybe I don't want these to one with each other. But basically, when I fire the gun, we'll just set this as some random value, just see what happens. Like here we go, this is some crazy, crazy pitch. So if we set this to like -10 maybe. That's a bit too intense. But you can kind of imagine what's happening here. It's like it limits itself how far away it can get because of these dampening factors. So maybe we won't do -10, we'll do like negative. And this will like depend on the gun, what its recoil profile is. Even this is kind of intense. I'm going to add horizontal too. I'm going to do it all. I'm just doing vertical now just to get a feel for like what the how the recoil actually works. Yeah, I'll dampen this when I'm aiming in a bit. Just for now, I'm going to I'm just going to get all the recoil directions working. So then we need yaw as well. And then we'll do roll. So we'll get all of those. Okay, my cat is like, you guys can't see, but I have, my cat is like blocking half my screen again. He's like seeking my attention. Maybe that means I've been streaming for too long. Absolute no library, no, because obviously I'm using like the system libraries for like creating a window, you know, and doing graphics. So I'm using like OpenGL and DirectX in Metal, and like I have a work in progress Vulkan. But I'm not using like SDL or anything. Or I'm not even using the C++ standard library either. So it's all kind of rolled. Rolled my own. Okay, why is this not working? Where's my O? So I'm just gonna play with these values and just see what they look like. Oh, I'm not applying it. I'm like, why isn't anything happening? And this gets kind of messy, so I'm gonna clean this up as well at some point. But you can see how these all just kind of add on top of each other. And I'm doing these out of order. I should really standardize the order at which I apply these. So I do roll, pitch, yaw. So let's do roll, pitch, yaw. Down here, roll, pitch, yaw. Roll, pitch, yaw. Okay, recoil is a bit intense. Let's randomize it now. So we want a bit of randomization here. And all of these recoil properties will be on the weapon, so I guess pitch will always be, I don't know why I changed pitch. Pitch will always be between, I don't know. Maybe if do like 1.5 maybe. We'll have some kind of intense pitch. I guess there should be plus equals, so they add. Maybe it's a little too wiggly. This is some crazy recoil. I guess yawing doesn't really make too much sense. I mean, this is one of the things I'll just have to play around with, probably. But let's get the, oh my god, my cat's back up here. He wants to say hello. Hello, everyone. Kitty. All right. Let's get the offset in here as well. Recoil offset offset. Here we go. I have double variable name. Yeah, I'll shift the camera rotation too. That's a bit trickier to do because I have that link to the mouse at the moment. So I... Oh my gosh, what do you want? Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Okay. Let's get this in here. Oh my gosh, stop. This is the routine we do every so often. Is he jumps up here, and he makes it a game to keep jumping up. So he's back. It's distracting. He needs an activity. All right. So this will push the gun back. Oh my gosh. I might have to move my cat into the other room. Unless he keeps doing this. Or if he keeps doing this. I feel bad locking him up, but it's kind of annoying. Okay, kitty. What do you want? What happened to my my braces? What's going on? Why am I getting errors? What just happened? Yeah, the cat is really trying to code. All right. Cat offset offset. Or recoil offset offset. And then the position of the gun. Oh my gosh. All right. I'll be right back. I gotta put the cat in the other room. Come here, kitty. I feel bad locking the cat out, but he has his food and water in the other room, so he'll be fine. All right. Position weapon. Oh, I do this twice. This is annoying. This is really intense. All right, maybe one. Maybe that's too intense. What is happening in chat? You know what? I'm just gonna roll with this crazy recoil. It's good enough. It's a little too intense maybe, but that's fine. Yeah. Because recoil, the non-aim down sight recoil feels pretty good. Hip fire, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Like it's kind of like you're just spraying. When you aim down sight, maybe it should be less intense. I can do that. I'll just add the aiming factor in here. So we'll have like Full strength is if you're not ADS, and if you are, then we'll decrease the recoil quite significantly. But maybe you still want it to be kind of punchy. We don't want it fully dampened. It looks good on some guns, but the ones that get closer, it doesn't look very good. Maybe I need to push this gun back or further out. Let's ignore the fact that all the guns have the same same recoil. All right, I think it's time to get some sound in here. We need sound. Yeah, the high field of view isn't helping. Because it's like distorts stuff on the edges. Here, let's go to some of the other maps. I want to get the player collisions working, but that's a project. It tries to. Oh no, it doesn't. It should though. Yeah, the bracing shouldn't like have an effect while you're aim down sight maybe. Here, let's turn that. Let's fix that as well. Oh, it's the opposite. This is a long line. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not what I wanted. Maybe it needs to be this. It's a little slow to aim down sight though. Yeah, yeah, I just load the model as like a static mesh basically. And I just render it at, a specific position. Or I just render it at 0, 0. It's just a giant model. So if you can load any model, basically the map is the same thing. I need to add the rockets. Yeah, right. BSP maps. I don't know. Kind of everything, actually. I listen to a lot of just random music. Alright, let's think. What else do we need? What else do we want? So sound. I want to do sound, because sound is fun. Yeah, I think a more complicated level loader would be necessary once I draw stuff that isn't just low polygon maps. Okay, so sound is actually interesting. I have a few ideas how I want to do it. I need some gunshot sound effects though, so I'm gonna steal some from a different project of mine. These are some... Ow, my ears. Ow, my ears. Where do I have my audio files? I need some good gun sound effects. Is there like a place to download sounds? Does anyone know? Good sound effects website? Leave page. Freesound.org. This sounds like a good so we need a gunshot. Ow. I apologize to anyone in advance. Assault rifle. You know what, I'll just go with this one, even though it doesn't really fit the vibe.
The 3.
Ow, my ears. I'm sorry, people. Can I sort these by rating? All right, I'm gonna do this one. This one sounds fine. I have to log in to download. Why do I have to? You have to log in to everything these days, don't you? I'm getting blinded by my screen on the right here. I don't want to make an account. Okay, we'll do it. I cannot use my email address. Do I already have an account here? Oh my goodness. I don't know what my account is. Oh, I lost my sound. I hate when you go to a login and then it like, you lose the sound that you were on. You lose the link. All right, here we go. Download. Oh, we're in. We're so in. Now we need to load up Audacity. Pew, pew, pew. Skip. 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 Stop. No. So we want this to like start right away, basically. Okay, cool. All right, so then we have to save this thing, export as 1440, 44100. Okay, cool, 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 cool. I'm gonna go to my project. Where is it? Please turn down the volume. Oh no. This might be where the ears go to die, is when I start working on sound. Uh-oh. I forget how I load sound files. Let me look at the other project. I forget what my format looked like. Oh, does it auto-detect? Oh, that's sick. I forgot I made it automatically detect if it's a track or not. Okay. So we need to include the audio module. And we need to initialize and free this thing. And then, did I lose my music? I used to have music playing. All right, let's see. Maybe in the future there will be. I don't document too much because things change too quickly. So I just haven't been keeping on top of it. Let's call it environment, maybe, or world sound, I guess I could call this. All right, I will turn down the sound. I don't want to jump scare everybody. Here, let's play it at a decreased volume. So I take an audio effect. Is this the sound? Let me know if that's too loud or too quiet on the stream. I don't want to like deafen people. Okay, so basically, how does my audio module work? So basically, I have this audio system in the engine. And so yeah, I implemented it without libraries, which was actually kind of a pain in the ass, to say the least. But basically, the way I've architected it is that, here, let me go back to the game code so you can see. So like, I just made this audio module at the project level. So I have this audio context thing, which comes from my engine's audio library, basically. So this is just, essentially it's a, I'm not even sure how to describe it. There's like audio terminology for this, but it's been a while since I've written this code, so I kind of forget the terminology for it. But basically, like, you can imagine there's an audio context for like the world sounds. There would be ones for like the UI, if you're like clicking buttons. There'd be like another one for like music or something, right? So you have different, it's like audio tracks, I guess you could say. I call it a context because that's just the word I use to like describe sort of a system that manages its own state. And on a context, there are functions to like play a sound. I can also set the listener position for 3D sounds, which I'll be doing later probably. And the sound is pretty simple. It's just like the sound ID. So in the weapon code, it's like I just played the gunshot sound. But then I can also pass this effects struct to it. So each individual sound that gets played can have multiple effects layered on top of it. So there's this effects system. So like I immediately just set the gain, so the volume, to 20% just to not deafen everybody. But there's other effects in here too. Like I can set the, I guess the pitch. I can change the pitch to be like 0.5 or something. So now it's like higher pitch sound. And what's cool is I can modulate these. I don't know if I can modulate pitch actually. I think that's it. That's all I can do for pitch. Here, I thought I could do it for pitch. I guess I can't set pitch. Some of these effects I can change, like modulated. Like I can make the sound fade in. Like if I want this to fade in over, I don't know, 200 milliseconds. It'll start really loud actually. Whoa. Oh, I set the pitch to be really low. That sounds kind of cool, actually. But basically, I have different effects I can layer in here. So, like, I can set the low pass filter, and I forget what the values are for this. What frequency is? I forget if I normalize these or not. So maybe. Cover your ears, potentially. Where do I set this? I forget what the values I used for this. Because there's like the range of human hearing and I forget. I can demonstrate it in one of the other projects, but basically I have all these filters. Like I can set the reverb. And there's all these properties. I don't even remember which all of these are. I'll need to like remember which. Yeah, I set the reverb size, I guess, is the one I care about. And what is size here? So normalized value. So I guess I can make these reverb. Yeah, here we go. Here's like some reverb sound. It kind of clips at the end because my sound effect isn't long enough for the reverb to like decay. But I can set the reverb on the context as well. So like I can go back up here, and if I want the world to have its own effects system, maybe we'll do like a low reverb, and I give it to this. And now the effect channel, like the world sound channel itself, has reverb. It might be too loud. Sorry if it's too loud. I'll turn the music off. So you can imagine, like, I could detect if I'm indoors and maybe I play... I don't know. Some other sound. But the ones I actually care about at the moment, I'll keep that just for there. But basically I would want to, like, when I fire the gun, I want to set the pitch to a randomized value, probably. Just so each sound isn't exactly the same. Maybe that's like too much. Maybe slightly different. Yeah. So then, like, well, actually, let's just write some fun code. So like in a lot of games, like if you shoot outside, you know, you get less reverb because you're like outdoors, right? The sound is just more crisp and direct. But then if you go inside, you get more of a reverb. So I can try and simulate that through the audio system. So if I put like an update function on the audio system, and we'll like pass it delta time just because that's what we always do. So we can like calculate the reverb based on the current position of the camera in the world. So I'm just gonna like, I'm just gonna write some rough code to do this. And I'm just experimenting because I've never actually like written code like this before. Yeah, see you later. Glad you could watch for a while. Okay, so let's think. So basically we want to raycast against the world again, which I've been doing a million times. But to detect if we're inside, we're just going to raycast in all directions and see how many rays hit an object or hit the sky. Yeah, I've been grinding. I'm probably going to end it somewhat soon. I need to go eat. I'm getting pretty hungry. But I want to get audio working. So I'm going to do that just as like the final thing for today, probably. Where is my weapon? I'm just going to steal the code I used to check for this. So like in the audio system, we can have a little ticker. Let's include the timer. So we have a little ticker. So this is like, I can just set it to tick at a certain interval. So like if the ticker dot tick in the interval, we'll say, we'll update every, I don't know, we'll update the time, we'll update the sound every half second, I guess. Or maybe we'll do it, yeah, we'll do it every half second. So every 500 milliseconds. will update the state of the reverb, I guess. So, and then to randomize, we'll get some randomization in here as well. Yeah, probably. The logic for this could go as like complicated as you want. My first implementation, I'm just gonna do like, my idea is I'm just gonna scatter a bunch of rays outwards from the player, and then test how many of those rays hit a wall versus hit the sky, or like don't collide. And I guess the more rays that don't collide, that means you're more likely to be in an open space. So there would be less reverb because there's less sound bouncing around, I guess. It's kind of the idea I'm going for. So I'm just going to write some rough code, though, for now. Because, like, I can imagine this could get more complicated, too, because you could simulate, like, the echo of sound. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just going to randomly... Here, let's have some, like... We'll shoot, like, I don't know, 100 rays out from the camera, maybe. So int... And then we'll have a count like we'll have a num rays collided. So we start at 0 every iteration. And I'm just going to randomize. Well, I guess this would be include scene. So the direction will be randomized. So like random dot. And this, maybe I don't want to have temporal, I guess. I don't know. Like, I want this to be a stable randomizer, but for now we'll just do it every frame, just 'cause it's easier to write code this way. And then, so that'll give us an array that just shoots in some random direction. And then we'll test if it intersected. I guess we can just do this. And maybe we want some, or actually maybe we want some distance cut off. And like, if hit.distance is greater than, I don't know, 100 or 200. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know what the scale is for my world. Then we'll do num rays collided. So after that, and I'm just gonna print this value out for now, just so I get an idea for what we're working with. Oops. Where's my terminal? Oh, I'm not running the audio code, of course. Yeah, so it seems like when I'm outside, I get like... Actually, it's like inverse. Does it increase if I go inside? Oh, it's like the opposite of what I want. What? What is happening? How is it the opposite? I must have my logic messed up. Audio. Did I mess up a sign? Oh yeah, it should be this. I'm like, how is my hit count going down if I go... Yeah, you can see if I'm like halfway in the door, you know, there's maybe less reverb. I don't know. So I'm looking at the numbers on the left here. You guys probably can't see because I nuked the stream quality. That's right. So as I run around outside, it's like half and half. And then from this, I'll just calculate like a target reverb is just the fraction of how many of these actually collided. And then I can set the reverb size based on that. And then the time will be 500 milliseconds. So we'll just update. Maybe a little extreme here. It's like too echoey. Let's maybe clamp. Let's have a low cutoff. So like anything under 20 maybe. And then I guess the rest will be that. And then we'll clamp this to like 0.5 maybe, so it's not so extreme. We'll keep it full. We'll just see what it looks like. It's kind of funny. Maybe going all the way to 1 isn't great. Maybe I should like stay right beneath 1, like 0.9 or something. No, it's still pretty intense. And I guess I should really cluster the rays like that I'm casting to be more, maybe like the direction I'm facing. Because it doesn't really make sense if I'm standing here shooting out a door that I would have a reverb sound, right? Yeah. I also have control over like other random stuff, like set the, I forget what these other ones are. Like the dryness does something. I don't remember what this does. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, is it the wetness? I always forget what the terminology is for these. It sounds wet. Whoa, this is crazy. So I want low wetness. I forget what the default values are for these. I need to look at what my default values are. I should really document this. Let's see. I don't know. I can hook these up to sliders maybe. Yeah, like no wetness completely blocks the reverb effect. Here, let me just hook these up to the terminal so I can just like edit these. There's like wetness and then there's dry. So that makes it more intense, basically. So what does dryness do? Oh, this makes it more like muffled. Interesting. And then... There's also these size and width parameters. Yeah, maybe I want the size. It's like this sounds better. And then what does width do? Here, I will... Oh wait, that's what I had. So wait, what difference did that make? Yeah, I don't know. It's something I play with. I don't want to like deafen everybody by doing gunshot sounds all night though. Yeah, I know how those work. This game technically has multiplayer. It's just not... It's really barely implemented at the moment. But it's I have multiplayer working in here. So you can see like the guy on the left here. But it's all very early, so like you can't really do anything other than see the other guy. Fortnite. The 24-hour mark. Yes, I am. This game I'm probably not actually going to release. The idea behind this project is I just want to work on the multiplayer code and some of the 3D rendering code and just have fun. And I'm gonna put it as the engine's like public, like the demo project when you clone the engine, because the source for the engine's in the description, and like it's mostly just for showcase purposes. I'm not making this engine as like a product or anything. But in case anyone is interested and they want to download it, it's cool to have a game that actually just works and you can play it. And I thought it'd be fun, like, eventually to have, like, little, like, bots running around, too, that you can play against. Kind of like Counter-Strike, how you have, like, real players and then bots. So, yeah. But, like, right now I'm just kind of slapping stuff together. And I'm going to come through and probably clean a lot of this up as well once I get a good idea of what actually is in this project. And then it'll be a good like example as well. So if anyone clones the repo and they want to like see how to actually make something in the engine, they can look at the source code and just kind of understand how everything's structured, I guess. Because otherwise it's just like an engine with a bunch of header files and source files, but it's like, how do you actually use this to make anything? So that's the idea with this project. The game I'm actually working on in a serious capacity is this one, as it compiles. 1 second. So this is the game I'm actually working on. That's taking a lot of time because it's like, there's just so much going on in this. This is my Terraria clone. So I'm working on this mainly. And the first person shooter thing is kind of just like I said, it's just a side project. And this game is like something I intend to actually release probably once it's further along and not just a boring Terraria clone with nothing to do. I don't think I'm going to publish the source for Vitality. At least not right away, because this game I might actually sell. I don't know yet. I'm not fully committed to any one plan. But it would be nice to like at least fund my hobby a little bit through a project. And I think this one has at least a chance of, like, I think people would pay maybe for this one once it's further along. So yeah, all right, good to know. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing here. But this game is like actually pretty complicated, so it's taking a while to get it all implemented correctly. I mean, I don't know. I just like programming engines, I guess, is the reason why. Sorry, let me just read some stuff on the side. I would give you 350. 350. I really like the water physics. It's kind of my favorite part. And the sound system is actually pretty crazy too. Like how I got the water to simulate like sound. It's pretty crazy. Crazy stuff. Sorry, I was looking at my YouTube chat over here. Or not YouTube chat. My stream thing. Alright, what else can I work on before I go eat? Is there anything else? I think I've been going for a solid 8 hours. Yeah, so I explained this just a little bit ago. So I use... so the sound, I just talk directly to the operating system. So I can explain how that works, because I guess I didn't fully... Oh, the audio physics. Yeah. Well, yeah, so all the physics stuff is like custom, I guess. I don't know. Which part do I need to explain? I can explain how the water sound works, because I think it's interesting. So basically, I had this problem where I had this fluid simulation, but I didn't have sound, right? So like I can simulate it, what it was like without sound. Audio or volume, I think. Oops. Yeah, so without sound, you know, it doesn't... okay, I can explain the Linux tag, because I'm working on Linux too at the same time. So I have Linux running here on my other computer. And the engine, it builds it with Linux as well. So I work on both Linux and Windows and Mac code kind of interchangeably as I'm working on the engine. Because I'm implementing all the operating system backends, like all the interfaces for the operating systems, for the whole, like, all the rendering stuff. What happens if you use Arch? Did you destroy your your install? Because that happened to me a lot of times. Did I break my operating system? A kernel panic. Nice. So yeah, I have Linux here. I have Debian installed now because I gave up on Arch after a while. Because Arch was just not being very very nice to me. But I recently figured out it's because my RAM. So I had Linux on a separate computer, and now I have it on a different one, which is actually kind of crappy. But on my other computer, my RAM sticks died. So like, I was randomly getting seg faults during like compile. Like my compiler was seg faulting. And I'm like, what is happening for my compiler? You know, for like LLVM to seg fault. So yeah, that was fun. Not a good time for RAM to go faulty. I'll say that. But thankfully, it's not my main computer. And this app is called Rust Desk. I don't know why it doesn't say its name somewhere. It's called Rust Desk. And this is just, I actually have like a separate computer on my desk. that's running Linux. So like this is just a separate computer that I'm remoting into. So it's not like a virtual machine or anything. It's just I'm on Windows right now, and when I live stream, I need to be able to show off the Linux stuff. So I just remote desktop into it, which is nice because there's like some pass through with the keyboard and stuff, but it's kind of laggy with my input. It's kind of annoying. And I guess I can show off Mac as well because I have Mac working. No one shows off Mac code very often. So I also have, I guess if I rust desk over to my MacBook, I need to turn rust desk on. Okay. So this is my Mac. I need to sync my project though. Let's see. Let's sync everything. It's true. There are 3 people, and I'm one of them. All right, so let's go back over to Mac. Sync the changes. I might need to step up. Oops. So I'm working on Mac through a remote desktop. So this is fun. Hopefully this works. I haven't tested. All right, cool. Yeah, so you can see it's running on Mac. I should mute this. So that's fun. That's why I have those tags in there, because I work on all of them. What games are you most proud that you've made? See, this is kind of a trick question because I spend so much time making the engine. I don't spend that much time actually making games. I think the most thing, I guess most recently I'm most proud of the water physics in this game because it's really, really complicated actually. And took a while. It took like a few months of just grinding this out to get all the kind of the edge cases sorted out. So I'm pretty proud of this and like the audio system for the water as well. But it's hard to be proud of this game because it's not very far along. Do you have any good resource books that are good references for doing a custom game engine? I don't know any books. Because I didn't read any books myself. I think I like the Handmade Hero series by Casey Muratori, or however you pronounce his last name. I think that's like a good resource for just kind of understanding game engine development at a low level. And he does something similar where he doesn't use libraries, except I think Handmade Hero is written in C, so it's not really a C++ thing. But I like a lot of Casey's takes on certain problems and like solutions to problems. So I've kind of inspired by that, I guess. But I didn't follow like any one thing in particular when I made this. Handmade Hero. Yes. I think I know other people like the Cherno's Hazel game engine series, because that's like a good series that kind of covers how you make a game engine in, I guess more modern C++. And his game engine has an editor and all of that, which is an interesting, I guess it's his own interesting problem is having an editor. Because like my engine doesn't have an editor, it just has, it's just code, right? So I don't know, that's interesting. What's the hardest thing in the engine to code? I like to slap myself repeatedly in the free time. Yeah, exactly. What's the hardest thing in the engine? That's a good question. I think the most annoying thing to code is the graphics, probably, which is like the easy answer. But graphics is interesting because it doesn't have to be difficult, really. But I've made it kind of difficult because I'm trying to support all the graphics APIs through my own kind of abstraction layer. So in my engine, I went a bit overboard in that I don't only abstract the graphics APIs, I also have my own shader language that compiles. Oh yeah, John Blow. Yeah, I also I'm a big John Blow fan as well. He's kind of has some hot takes on things, but it's funny. I appreciate his passion. So yeah, I like John Blow's pretty funny, and he's doing his own programming language, which is insane, and game engine. But he has an actual team behind it too, so I don't know. So it's hard to compare. He's not like a one-man team. But what was I saying? The graphics. Yeah, so like my graphics engine's kind of complicated because like I have my own shader language that I transpile into like the back-end shader languages. And that's its whole system. That's like thousands of lines of code just to manage that. So that was difficult. I wouldn't say, and I guess the graphics is just hard in general as well because there's like, the graphics means a lot of things. It's like a lot of people think graphics and you think of just like shader code and like drawing pretty stuff to the screen. I am supporting Metal. I support Metal natively. It's kind of broken at the moment though. But yeah, it's mostly working. I have to fix some bugs on it though. It's not stable. But yeah, so you think of graphics, you think of rendering stuff to the screen in terms of like pretty visuals. And that's certainly one side of the graphics side of things. But the other side is like actually managing like graphics resources and, you know, talking to the graphics card. How do you structure your graphics system, I guess? So like there's like the API side of the graphics programming, and then there's like the shader side. And then there's like the optimization side, which is its own separate sort of thing. So yeah, I kind of had to think about all of that stuff basically, which made graphics pretty complicated. The audio stuff was pretty difficult too, I would say, because the problem with audio is there's just not many resources out there that explain how audio works. And like, it's just difficult to find good examples of audio code. So that was kind of tricky to figure out just because I didn't really know what I was doing. But eventually I figured it out, and then yeah, that was that. That was kind of its own project. But yeah, there's a lot of a lot of hard problems. Oh, the other thing with game engines, I think, is asset management is also pretty tricky. Because there's a lot of ways you can do asset management. And there's trade-offs to all the different ways. So it's like, part of it's just deciding, you know, what trade-offs are you going to take with how you structure your assets. And then like the build system. So it's like, how are you packaging your assets for like the actual game runtime? Because at runtime, you can't just naively load everything into RAM at startup. You have to like think about how you stream in assets from from disk or from the hard drive, I guess. So that's its own system. And like the build system has to, you ideally want to cache assets. So like if you change assets, you don't rebuild everything. So there's like so many layers to the onion here. Yeah, and then ECS versus object-oriented programming is another interesting topic. That's actually one I'm less interested in because it doesn't seem like that. I don't know. It's actually not that complicated of a problem. So yeah, I don't know. There's really no strict coding rules or standards. So many people do it in so many different ways. There's like, I think there are good practices with game engine development, like, but I don't know if there's anything like super strict. Like one of the obvious ones is like, generally you want to be careful about how you allocate memory, right? Because memory allocation is kind of can either be slow or it can fail depending on certain situations. So like you don't want to be constantly allocating stuff all the time. So you do care about that a little bit. And that has implications for like the style of your code can be based off how you deal with memory. Yeah, some people, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I find the entity component stuff really interesting. Because it like from a cache locality standpoint and like an optimization standpoint, like it kind of is the best way to like structure your entities from this like for the CPU, right? Because the entity component system is all about, you know, having components. Entities are constituted by components. If the components are all like live next to each other in memory, so you have good cache locality if you're iterating over entities that share components, or like you have a system that only accesses one component. You just have great cache locality on that. And like just, I guess the other part of it is how you define an entity. Like an entity is kind of defined by the, you know, the mask of components that it has, right? Essentially, yeah, it's just a struct of arrays with some fancy like composition, or I guess, I don't even know which terminology you would use. And I think that's interesting, I guess. My entity system doesn't use that. So like I just do, I don't know, it's tricky to explain because I guess my entity system is object oriented and that I have classes that can inherit from other classes, right? So I have the object, like the polymorphism, you know, inheritance tree thing going on. But the way I allocate the memory for it is I'm careful about how things get laid out in memory. So like my entity system is object oriented, but every entity has a specific type. So like I have a human, I have a rabbit, I have a, you know, here, let me make it morning so it's not dark. I have like those, and like I allocate like just like contiguous blocks of memory for each type. And then like when I instantiate an instance of a rabbit, you know, all of that memory just lives in the block of memory that represents rabbits. So it's like a hybrid approach from of like an entity component system where you have contiguous blocks of memory, but also object oriented in that I just have a struct essentially that represents a rabbit, right? So you have all of the state packaged into a struct. So you like miss out on cache locality with that, I guess, if your struct is large. But I don't know, like in practice, it's like the bottleneck for a game typically isn't, well, I don't know, it's tough. So like in most games, the bottleneck is drawing stuff to the screen, right? It's communicating with the GPU. It's waiting for the GPU to finish. It's kind of rare that your CPU bottlenecked, unless you're in very specific situations where you're like in a hot loop, iterating over millions of entities or something for some specific, I don't know what you'd be doing, like physics maybe, like if you have like entities representing particles, I don't know. So like my general take is that pretty much like no use case that I have for entities actually would result in me missing out on like performance because of cache misses or something. Especially because I already think about it, like I already allocate the memory to be cache friendly, as like cache friendly as I can be. And then like if there is a situation where I need to use like an array of structs or struct of arrays for like particles or something, like say I have millions of particles, right? And I do want like all the positions to be tightly packed in cache. It's like I would just implement a specific system to handle that. You know, I don't need this whole overarching entity component system in my engine adding a bunch of complexity. If I can just like write, you know, a particle system that just has a couple structs in arrays, if that makes any sense. I'm kind of rambling now, but that's just my philosophy on it. So yeah, that's fun times. it's just like as far as game engine development goes, I think the way entities are handled is kind of like one of the least interesting problems, because it's just like an implementation detail. And like if there comes a day where I need to change it, it's like it's not a ton of work to just add a different entity component system to the engine, you know? Whereas like it is a lot of work to like completely replace my whole render abstraction, because that's a more complicated system. So that's like a system I want to spend more of my time thinking about. So that's kind of my take on that. But yeah, I'm not really sure what to work on anymore. I'm kind of getting hungry. I've been rambling. Yeah, so am I doing virtual functions, C++ interfaces? I can kind of explain. I guess I can show this while I'm rambling about my entity system. So like in my engine, I do have an abstraction, I guess, built up to handle entities. I call them objects, but they're entities basically. So like if I go to, I don't know, the grenade object. So I have like an object that is a grenade. So I have my own, it's interesting, I guess. This is kind of interesting. So I do have a system that makes it easy for me to create objects in my engine. So I have a little, I call it like a scripting language, even though it's not a scripting language. So these files that have the .object extension are object files. And these are basically like C++ files with some additional syntax that like can describe what an object is. So like this object is the grenade, and it's like it derives from a server entity object, which is like a networked object in my engine, or in this game specifically. And it has events, you know, so these are just functions. And I can like define functions that run on it. And then at build time, as part of my build tool, I just parse these object files. And from these object files, I generate a bunch of boilerplate code to actually like deal with my game's runtime object system. So here's my generated code folder basically. So that when I hit run and I like build, so like I click F5 and I hit a build, on the right side you see the build tool kick off over here, and like part of this is building objects. So what that's doing is basically generating, it's parsing these files and then generating some code. So this is what the generated header file looks like. So if I find the like object grenade, this is the class that gets generated by my build tool that represents the grenade. So you can see this is just a C++ class that inherits from another class, and it uses virtual functions. So yeah, it's using, you know, a vtable, and it does some other boilerplate stuff. So like generates a handle to this thing, which is kind of a concept I use at runtime in my game code. But all of like the objects functions just get put into this like one generated source file and one header file. And that's kind of how my entity system works. Can you encrypt your code into binaries? I mean, you can't encrypt the binary file itself. Like, if you're talking like the C++ code. That's an interesting question. Sorry, there's so many interesting questions over here. Can you encrypt your code into binaries? There's so many good questions. I guess I'm not really sure what you mean by encrypt the code into binaries. Like when you compile code in C++, you create an executable, which is just machine code, right? So like assembly, machine code. You can't encrypt that because the operating system, like your computer has to know what it is, right? Yeah, embedding. What would I say is harder, writing network code for your game or programming graphics? Probably the graphics. I think the netcode is complicated, but the netcode's complicated on a per game basis, because like in a first person shooter game where you have like tight combat, right? It's fast paced. People care about low latency, and you want, you know, you need to preserve the, like, you care about low latency. You need to like have mechanisms in place that can make sure that the, you know, the gameplay is you know, executing fairly. Like if you fire a gun and someone else fires a gun, it's like who wins the gunfight, right? So you need to do that while also having low latency. So how do you get low latency? Well, low latency you get by trying, like, sending as little state as possible over the network, and then trying to like run the whole game state based on as little information as possible, basically. So like in those kind of games, the netcode has to do a lot of prediction, to basically predict, you know, from this input, how should the game react. But because the game state isn't perfectly deterministic, it's possible for it to mispredict. And then when the game mispredicts, there has to be a mechanism in place to like restore the game state to what it should be. So like all the big games that do multiplayer have to deal with this, and that code gets really complicated because it like it's very fundamental to how your game is actually architected. So like that's just difficult code to write because like everything kind of relies on this whole prediction model and like rollback and like all of that stuff. Whereas graphics code is kind of simple in comparison because you just know you just know that your GPU is going to like do the stuff that you tell it to do. You can use it if you want to. Are templates important? Depends what you mean by template, like C++ templates. I guess I don't know, it depends on your code base. Why am I using virtual functions? I use virtual functions because objects can inherit from each other, and have like runtime polymorphism, I guess. So you need the vtable. And I don't have a good example of that to showcase off the top of my head, but that's just, I allow that as a thing in my object system, I guess. Why don't I use AI? I don't know. I just not that interested in using AI to code. I like AI for research and stuff, or like get me started type things. I just don't like it writing code very much. All right. Yeah, sorry, I'm like reading upwards in chat, so I'm going further back in time. The irony is that big Unity games are somehow CPU bound, somehow in-house engines as well. Yeah, it's interesting how that's possible because it's crazy how fast modern CPUs are. Like if you write low-level code and you actually like experiment with, you know, the speed of like what a modern CPU can do, it's like actually insane how fast CPUs can be. So how these big engines can be CPU bound just like doesn't make sense to me. It's like maybe a game like GTA 6 you could expect to be CPU bound because like I imagine that game has a lot going on, right? It's just a complicated game running on consoles. I mean, we don't know, the game's not out yet, but I can just imagine a game like that could be CPU bound. But there's a lot of games that are just like really not doing much frame over frame. Like there isn't some crazy simulation happening. It's crazy that it can be CPU bound. And like I almost wonder if it's because these big engines rely heavily on like parallelizing code with multi-threading. But then like you still have to manage state in a system like that. So like I can imagine a lot of the, like if you have like a threaded game state system where you have different threads doing different bits of work, they still have to synchronize, right? Otherwise, you know, the game, otherwise like you need some like overarching synchronization to keep the frame actually like making logical sense. And I wonder if a lot of the time is just spent basically stalling, waiting for synchronization. So I don't know. Here's the grenade, by the way, that I was talking about. Here's a little grenade object. I love the trolls. Yeah, I'm definitely on Grindr. Confirmed. For sure. I have pictures of my C++ game engine on there. I'm kind of at the point where my brain is dead. That's why I'm not working on anything. I'm just ranting. I'm probably going to cut the stream at some point here. Yes, I do. I do have one. So, yeah. All right. Where can I find? What are you asking? Where can I get a project to start to make my engine? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, let's see. What can I do before I go eat? Is there anything that I had in mind? I kind of want to make the flash look a little bit better. Are you saying in my engine or just like in general? Because in my engine, there should be like a template project in the repository somewhere. I think it's in the .manta folder. You can just copy and paste that. But if you're talking like a game engine in general, it's like, yeah, you have to make it. You have to start from somewhere, I guess, and build up. Okay, I want to make the flash look a little bit less. I want the flash a little faster, maybe. Yeah, I think the flash is a little too slow. I need like a good I don't even know, fall off function for that. Where is the flash? I'm like scrolling mindlessly, not even thinking. So it's this muzzle flash intensity. So how do I currently do the fall off for this? I mean, I can make it go faster, I guess. I think it fades too fast too. Or I mean, it like, the color fades too quickly. Where is the shader? So let's like amplify this just for fun. I don't know why I'm using MSVC. See how long MSVC takes? Maybe even faster than that. I'm gonna fix this I'm like shadowing a variable here, which is kind of annoying. But that should be fine. I fix my little reticle. Okay, let's make more particles when we collide as well. Because right now we're not making enough particles. Let's make more particles when we shoot. Still not enough. I want more spray here. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like, I just don't know how AAA engines can be so CPU bound. Unless they're just being really dumb about how they're doing things. What's going on with my particles? Yeah, it probably would take longer. I agree with that. It's satisfying how nice it looks when you just like pull the gun in. For how simple of a feature it is to like make this work. It's like it's like 4 lines of code to make the gun do this. But it like makes it feel so much more interactive. It's kind of funny how like game feel works like that. I've never heard of that. I need to add like crawling and prone. And the rocket launcher. And the scope for the sniper, because right now it doesn't do anything. And each gun needs its own sound. But there's always more for next week. I think I'm gonna leave it at this for today. Interesting. NVRHI. Is that for rendering? I'm not familiar with what that is, but I assume with RHI that's probably rendering related, right? Sorry, I'm just kind of like messing with the physics. It's kind of fun. I'm clearly having fun just messing around. Nice. Yeah, with those two, that's pretty much all you need. Well, you could probably get away with just using Vulkan for everything, modern day. And on Mac, you'll have to use like the Molten VK layer, but that's fine. It would simplify a lot of your rendering code, actually, to just use one graphics API. I really want to solve the to-do I have that I had earlier in the stream. I guess like 8 hours ago now, about this. Because this isn't working. Yeah, it is hard. I can attest to that. It's definitely difficult. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do this next week, or I'll do this off stream. What I want. So right now my bullets, they just fire from the center of the screen, right? So like the ray that's cast just comes directly from the center. So like if I like get close here, you can see the bullets are still shooting, you know, from the center of the screen. What I want is like the little reticle, the little yellow dot, or the white dot with the yellow line. That's where I want the bullet rays to actually originate. So that like if you're in the wall and your gun's kind of off to the side and you shoot, you would get the bullet off to the side where the gun is aiming. And I I failed at the math for that earlier today. Obviously, I have it working for the reticle, like that little line, the little debug line. But the actually getting that as a ray in world space is kind of complicated. And I'll need to figure that out, because that's kind of one of the features I want. And that'll make the recoil actually like act like recoil. I'm 27. Yeah, maybe I'll get that stuff working next week. And I'll get the multiplayer stuff more fleshed out, so you can actually like connect and shoot at other people, which is kind of the whole point of an FPS game. Because right now it's kind of just you join and nothing happens when you shoot. But we'll get there soon. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for the stream tonight. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, get the viewers on, send the download link. Yeah, that'd be fun. Probably not for a couple weeks yet. I still have some more work to do to get to that point. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call the stream tonight. I'm getting hungry. It's almost 8 o'clock, and I haven't eaten dinner yet, so I've been kind of marathon grinding. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Sad that the stream cut out halfway through, but yeah, sorry, I was reading the last message in chat about the bullets. Yeah, I'll figure it out. But yeah, see you guys. As I awkwardly